As the moon cast its pale glow over the dense forest, Clara's flashlight flickered. Before her lay the forgotten village of Eldermore, shrouded in eerie silence. Locals had warned her about this cursed place, but the pull of its dark history was irresistible. Every step felt heavy, as though unseen eyes watched her. The air was cold, carrying faint whispers that seemed to call her name. Clara tightened her grip on the map and took a shaky breath, stepping further into the shadows of the abandoned streets. Clara's footsteps echoed unnaturally against the cracked cobblestones, each sound swallowed by the oppressive stillness of Eldermore. The village seemed frozen in time, with decayed houses leaning precariously and vines snaking up their walls, as if nature was trying to erase its memory. Her flashlight beam danced across broken windows and hollow doorways, each one resembling a dark, gaping maw. She felt an unshakable sense of being watched, though the streets were empty. A cold breeze whispered through, carrying with it faint, disjointed words. Clara paused, her breath catching as she turned towards the source, a dilapidated church at the village center. Its bell tower loomed like a sentinel, its shadow cutting through the mist. The whispers grew louder, almost urgent, as she approached. The map she clutched now felt warm, as though it pulsed with life. The sensation sent a chill up her spine. Was the map guiding her, or was it something else entirely? The church doors groaned as Clara pushed them open, the sound reverberating through the hollow structure. Inside, the air was thick and cold, and the faint scent of mildew lingered. Pews lay scattered and broken, and the altar stood covered in a thick layer of dust. Her flashlight beam swept across the walls, revealing faded murals depicting scenes of a once thriving village. But something was off. Figures in the paintings seemed to move when she wasn't looking directly at them. Her eyes darted back to the mural of a village celebration, and for a fleeting moment, she was certain one of the figures had turned its head towards her. Heart-pounding, Clara approached the altar. Resting on it was an old, leather-bound journal. Its cover bore a strange symbol, a circle with jagged lines cutting through it. She hesitated, the whispers growing louder, urging her to open it. Her trembling hands flipped the brittle pages, revealing handwritten entries. The text spoke of rituals, strange gatherings, and an event that had gone horribly wrong. The last entry chilled her to the core. "The village is lost. We are trapped. If you have found this, leave now, before it takes you too." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from behind her, shattering the silence. Clara spun around, her flashlight trembling in her grip. A shadow moved swiftly through the pews, too fast to make out. "Who's there?" she called, her voice shaky and barely audible. No reply came, only the oppressive quiet pressing down on her. The map in her pocket grew warmer, almost burning against her skin, as if urging her to flee. But she couldn't. Something here wanted her to stay, and a deeper part of her wanted to uncover the truth. Clara's breathing quickened as the whispers around her intensified, now more distinct, almost like fragments of a chant. She tried to steady her flashlight, but her hand trembled uncontrollably. The shadows in the church seemed to shift, growing longer and more menacing, though there was no visible source of light to create them. She clutched the journal tightly, as if its fragile pages could shield her from whatever lurked in the darkness. The warmth of the map in her pocket became unbearable, compelling her to pull it out. As she unfolded it, her eyes widened in shock. The map had changed. The familiar layout of the forest and the village was now overlaid with markings she hadn't seen before. Symbols, etched in dark red ink, glowed faintly, leading from her current location in the church to a spot deep within the village. Beneath the symbol, a single word was scrawled: sanctuary. Her instincts screamed to leave, to run as far from Eldermore as she could, but her curiosity overpowered her fear. If this was a sanctuary, perhaps it held answers, or a way out. She stepped cautiously toward the door, the old wood creaking under her weight. Just as she reached the threshold, the sound of faint footsteps echoed behind her. She froze, every muscle in her body taut. Slowly, she turned, but there was no one there. The pews stood silent, the shadows still once more. Outside, the village seemed even more alive than before. The air was heavier, the mist thicker, and the whispers now followed her like an invisible chorus. Clara gritted her teeth and followed the map's path, winding through narrow alleys and overgrown pathways. As she approached the marked location, a faint glow appeared ahead, emanating from the remains of an old well. The whispers grew deafening. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears as she stepped closer, peering into the well's depths. The darkness inside seemed to ripple, almost alive. Before she could react, a voice, a deep, guttural whisper, rose from within. "You were drawn here for a reason. Will you free us, or will you join us?" Clara staggered back, her mind racing with terror and confusion. The voice from the well seemed to seep into her very thoughts, its chilling tone resonating deep within her. She wanted to run, but her legs felt anchored to the ground, as if the weight of the village's sorrow held her in place. The glow around the well began to intensify, casting the surrounding area in an eerie, pulsating light. Against her better judgment, she leaned forward once more, gripping the edge of the stone well. Her flashlight flickered, its beam barely piercing the darkness inside. The air grew colder, almost suffocating, as the whispers swirled around her, each one a fragment of a plea. "Help us. Free us. Join us." Clara gritted her teeth, forcing herself to speak. "What happened here?" she demanded, her voice cracking. For a moment, the whispers ceased, replaced by an oppressive silence. Then, slowly, the voice returned, deeper and more commanding. "We were betrayed, bound by greed. The ritual consumed us all, trapping our souls within this place. The village is cursed to linger between worlds, and so too are those who enter it. The map brought you because you are the key." Her heart sank as the realization hit her. The map hadn't just been a guide, it was a trap. The warmth she had felt earlier was not a sign of safety, but a tether pulling her deeper into the village's dark grasp. The journal's final warning echoed in her mind. "If you have found this, leave now." But how could she leave when every path seemed to circle back to this place? The shadows, the whispers, the oppressive air, it all felt alive, conspiring to keep her there. The glow from the well began to coalesce, forming a faint, ghostly figure. It was a young woman, her translucent face etched with sorrow. "You can break the curse," the figure said softly, her voice layered with the whispers of others. "But it will require a sacrifice. The village demands one life for its freedom. Will you offer yours, or take another's place?" The question lingered in the air, heavy and unyielding. Clara's pulse quickened. She had come seeking answers, but now she stood at a crossroads, her own life hanging in the balance. Clara's mind raced, the ghostly figure's words echoing in the chilling silence around her. Sacrifice? The weight of the village's curse pressed heavily on her shoulders. The air felt colder, as if the village itself waited for her decision. Her flashlight flickered again, plunging her momentarily into darkness. When the beam returned, more spectral figures began to appear around the well, their translucent faces filled with sorrow, pleading eyes fixed on her. She stepped back instinctively, her breath coming in shallow gasps. The map in her hand felt like a lead weight, its symbols glowing faintly as though urging her toward some grim resolution. "There must be another way," Clara stammered, her voice barely audible. The ghostly woman stepped closer, her presence cold, yet strangely calming. "There is no other way," she said gently. "The curse binds us all. It takes one life to release many. Decide quickly, for the village grows impatient." Clara's mind reeled. Her survival instinct screamed at her to run, but the maze-like paths of Eldermoor would never let her escape. The whispers around her grew louder, swirling into a cacophony of voices begging for freedom. Her gaze fell to the map once more, its surface now pulsing like a heartbeat. She realized it wasn't just a map, it was a binding contract. The village hadn't just chosen her, it demanded her. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, If I give myself, will this end?" The woman nodded solemnly, her figure beginning to fade. "You will break the curse, and we will find peace. Your sacrifice will be remembered for eternity." Clara's legs felt like lead as she approached the well, her heart pounding. She peered into its dark depths, feeling the pull of the unseen force below. Clara stood on the edge of the well, her heart racing as she gazed into the abyss. The village around her seemed to close in, the walls of Eldermoor pressing down on her. The whispers were no longer just voices. They were like a physical presence, swirling around her, filling her ears with the weight of lost souls. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. The sacrifice. The village needed her life to break the curse. It felt like a cruel twist of fate, but there was no turning back now. The faces of the spirits around her seemed to nod in approval, their hollow eyes silently urging her on. With one last glance at the village, its crumbling streets, its empty houses, Clara whispered, "I'm sorry," to the air, to the lost souls that had once walked this cursed land. Then, she let herself fall forward into the well. The moment her body passed the threshold, a shock of warmth surged through her, as if the curse itself had released its grip. The air around her shifted, and the whispers, once deafening, faded into a profound silence. Clara's vision blurred, and she felt herself descending deeper, as though she were being pulled through time itself. Then, in an instant, the sensation stopped. The world went dark. When Clara's eyes fluttered open again, she was no longer standing at the well. She was back at the edge of the village, but it was different now. The mist had cleared, the air was calm, and the buildings no longer appeared to be decaying. Eldermoor was whole again, alive. The curse had been lifted. She took a deep, steadying breath. The village was at peace, and so she was too. As Clara turned to walk away, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had somehow freed not only the village, but herself from a long, unspoken burden. The village, once shrouded in darkness, now shimmered under the soft glow of the morning sun. She had broken the curse, but at what cost? What do you think happened to Clara after her sacrifice? Was it truly her release, or did she become part of the village forever? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysterious tales.